What if your Excel sheet could talk to AI just like ChatGPT without leaving Excel? Today I am going to show you something very useful, how to connect OpenRouter AI directly to Excel by just using Excel VBA. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you ever wanted AI directly inside Excel, generating responses or helping with tasks, then this video is for you. As in today's video, I am going to show you how we can interact with OpenRouter AI directly inside Excel by just using Excel VBA. So before we get into this video, if you are into automation or AI Excel VBA tricks, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Excel and VBA AI automation tutorial. Let's get started. So before we get started, let me quickly walk you through what we will cover in this video so you can follow along step by step and implement this yourself. So here is our agenda for today's video. So first we'll talk about prerequisites, what you need before getting started. Like we have to get the OpenRouter API key, how we can get the JSON converter import into our Excel file. Then we'll check how we can set the library references in Excel VBA editor. Then next we'll write the VBA code line by line to understand how to send a prompt to the AI and get the responses. Then next we'll test the integration by running the code and getting the AI responses. And at last we'll write the response to the Excel back by displaying AI response into the Excel file. Now let's get the first prerequisites, which is getting the API key to connect to OpenRouter AI. Simply open the Chrome browser and navigate to this URL openrouter.ai. I will share this URL into the description below. This is the platform that gives us access to multiple AI model through a single API. If you are new, you can sign up and create a free account using an email. And if you already have an account, you can just log in. And once you are logged in, click on your profile icon on the top right side, then go to keys. It will open the API key window here. Then next you can click on create API key. I already created couple of API keys here. If you want to create a new API key, just simply click on this create API key button and give it a name here. So in this case, I will give VBA key. And you can leave this credit limit text box blank and just simply click on this create button. It will generate the new API key for you. And make sure to copy this key safely. You will need this in the VBA code. And you can close this window. Now you can see your key is displaying here on this keys page. Then next, we have to get the free AI model here. So let's pick a free AI model so you don't get charged. And to do that, just simply click on this models here. Here you will see a list of models, some are paid and some are free. Look for ones that have a free written under pricing in the left hand side. Here you can see it's a prompt pricing here, right? So let's simply select this free one here. Now you can see the list of free models are displaying here. For this video, we will be using the model called Mistral, Mistralai. Just search for Mistral in the model list and scroll down here. We will be using this module throughout the demo. So let's click on this. So here you can see the model name. Copy this model name. We will need this model name in our VBA code. Now we got the API key and the free AI model to connect to OpenRouter AI. Now let's get the JSON converter file to import into our VBA code. Now here something important to understand before we write any VBA code. The response we get from OpenRouter AI comes in JSON format. Basically it is a structured text string with a key and values. But Excel VBA does not understand JSON by default. We need to import a small helper, a JSON parser into our Excel file. So we will use a popular open source module called JSON converter. Simply go to the Chrome browser and navigate to this URL I will share this URL in the description below. Just hit enter here. Once the page gets loaded, we can click on this code button here and just simply click on download zip. You can see the file is got downloaded. Let's go to this folder. So we got this file in a zip folder, right? So let's unzip this, do a right click and click on extract all. And just simply click on extract. If I open this folder, then you will find a JSON converter.bas file. So we need this file to import into our Excel file. Now let's import this file into our Excel file. Go to the Excel, press Alt plus F11 to open Visual Basic Editor. Then go to the file and select import file. And then select the JSON converter file which we have just downloaded. So its file is there in download folder. So this is the file we have to import. Select it and just click on open. Now you will see a new module called JSON converter in your project explorer. This module contains all the code needed to pass JSON responses into a usable VBA variable. So you have now set up Excel to handle JSON, which means we can properly read and use the AI response. Now we have all the prerequisites set up in our Excel file. Now let's move on to the setting up the code and actually calling the OpenRouter API from Excel. Now let's start writing the code to send prompt to the OpenRouter AI and getting the response from the AI. Simply go to the Visual Basic Editor, click on Insert and select Module. So before we start writing any code, we have to enable to library reference. Simply go to the Tools menu and click on References here. And you have to enable these two references, the Microsoft Scripting Runtime and Microsoft XML version 6. The scripting runtime library helps in for JSON converter and XML version 6 will help in sending the request to OpenRouter AI. Just click on OK here. So let's create a simple subroutine. So we'll give it a name as Ask OpenRouter AI. So this is the name we have given here. As a part of first step, we will clear out any old responses from the cell so we always get a clean output each time we run the code. If I go back to the Excel file, so here I have merged few rows and columns to display the responses and the cell is C4, right? So let's clear the data from the cell before asking anything to the AI. So let's go back to the Visual Basic Editor. And if you see in the left hand side in a project explorer, my sheet name is sheet 1 and my code name is sheet 1. So let's use that. So I'm clearing the value from the C4 cell. Next, we will take the prompt from the user. So let's create a variable to take the prompt here. And the variable name I'm using as a prompt as a string. So here we'll use input box function to take the input from the user. We give a prompt as ask the AI something. We'll give it a title as OpenRouter Chat. Now this will give a pop-up to the user to enter the prompt. Then next we'll add a simple validation here. If prompt is equal to blank, then we'll end the code directly here. Now let's set up a few important input values that we will need to send to our API request. So here we need four input variables here. The first one is endpoint URL. Then next we need a API key. Then next we need the AI model. Last we need a JSON body. Our first variable name is endpoint URL. This will store the API endpoint where we will send the request. In our case, our URL is this one. And this is the standard endpoint URL for sending chat-based prompt to OpenRouter AI. I will share this URL in the description box. Next, our second variable is API key. This is where we will paste the API key that we got after signing up to the OpenRouter AI. This key is required for authentication so OpenRouter knows it is a valid request coming from your account. After that, our next variable name is AI model. So we will set up the AI model we want to use. So in our case, we have search for the AI model on the OpenRouter website, right? So let's copy that AI model and we'll paste it here. So this model name will be part of the JSON payload we send and it tells OpenRouter which AI model to use when generating a responses. Finally, we will create a string called JSON body. This will hold our JSON formatted request. Includes model name, the role as user, and the content, which is the prompt we collected from the user earlier. We are building this JSON string manually here so we can submit it directly in the request body. And I will share this JSON body in the description below. So here we are passing the AI model as an input and role as user. And under this content, we are passing our prompt which we have collected earlier. So with this four variable, the URL, API key, AI model, and JSON body, we are now ready to send a prompt AI request to OpenRouter AI. So now we got all four input variables here. Now let's move on to the next part where we actually submit the request to OpenRouter. First, we initialize the XML HTTP object, and for that we'll declare the variable. Let's initialize this object and we'll use the set keyword here. So this object let us send HTTP request directly from Excel. Now we use a with HTTP block to send the response to OpenRouter AI. So here we'll use the dot to select the properties and method. So the first will open the connection here and give it a space, and here we'll write host in double quotes, comma. Next is our endpoint URL, then next false. So this will open the post request to OpenRouter AI. Next, we'll set up two headers using the dot set header request. The first header which we have to pass is content type as application slash JSON. This tells the API that we are sending data in JSON format, which is the standard format that APIs understand. The second header is authorization token, comma, and the base value is, so we have to use barrier keyword here, space, and our API key. This adds our API key to the request. It's how OpenRouter know who's sending the request. This adds our API key to the request. It's how OpenRouter knows who's sending the request and whether access is allowed or not. Finally, we send the actual request using .send space and our JSON body. This sends the JSON payload we created earlier, including the model name and the user prompt to OpenRouter AI. So with just a few lines here, we have built a working post request that connects Excel directly to OpenRouter AI. So after sending the request, the next important step is to check if the API call was successful or not. And to check that, we'll use http dot status equal to 200. The number 200 is the standard HTTP status code for success. So if the response is anything other than 200, it means something went wrong, maybe a bad API key or wrong model name or any server issue. If the HTTP status is equal to 100, then we'll store the response. So let's create a variable to collect the response. And the variable name I'm using as a response as string. And we'll store this request a response into the response variable. So how we can get that? So http dot response text. And if the status is other than 200, then we'll give a message as request failed with status code status. I will give the response text here and will end the code directly. Now that we have got a successful response from the API, the next step is to parse the JSON so we can extract the actual AI generated message. So let's parse the JSON here. So here we will use a tool called JSON converter for this, which we imported earlier. It helps convert the raw JSON text into a readable object that VBA can understand. And to do that, we'll initialize JSON equal to JSON converter dot parse JSON. So we'll use this method here. Open bracket. So here it asking us to specify the JSON string. And our response we are storing in response variable here, right? So let's pass that response variable here. Now this takes the full response from the API, which is just a long string in JSON format, and it turns it into a structure object so we can navigate easily, almost like working with a dictionary. Now once we have that, we'll extract the content from the API response. And to do that, we'll create a variable here, reply as a string. Reply equal to JSON slash. So here we have to specify the position of the content in our JSON string. In our JSON string, our AI response is stored in content key. And to reach to that content key, first we have to get the choice. Under that choice, we have to get into the message key. And under that message, we have the content key. So where we have our AI response. And to get that response from the content, we have to specify the position to reach to that content value. And to do that, we'll use in double quotes choices. And under that choices, we have to go to the first element of choice. And under that, we have to go to the message key. And under that message, we have our content key, that which is hold our AI response. Choices is the main array written by the API. We pick the first item in that array using 1, then we access the message part of that choice, and finally we got the content, which is the actual response text from the AI. Now our AI response will get stored in this reply variable, and once we have that, let's write this response back to the Excel file. And where we are displaying this AI response, we are displaying in C4 cell in our Excel file, right? So we'll use the sheet1 dot range C4 dot value equal to per reply. Now we are done with the code which connects Excel to AI, takes prompt, send it, receive the response, and print it to the sheet, all by just using this Excel VBA. Now let's go back to the Excel file. We'll give it a try now. So you can add a button here on the Excel sheet and just simply do a right click on this button and click on assign macro and select the macro name which we have just created and click on OK. Now, so our Excel AI assistance is ready now. Now let's click on this button to ask OpenRouter AI anything. So if I click on this ask AI anything button, it will give you a prompt to ask anything to the OpenRouter AI. So we'll ask what is the difference between VBA and Power Query, and just simply hit enter or click on OK button here. Now it's sending a request to OpenRouter AI and we just received the response back from the OpenRouter AI. Now you can see how quickly it submitted the request and received the response back from the OpenRouter AI. And if you want to ask anything again, just simply click on this button and ask for query versus Office script. So you can ask anything to OpenRouter AI. Just simply hit enter here. You can see how quickly we receive the response back from the OpenRouter AI. So that's how you can bring the power of OpenRouter AI right into Excel by just simply using Excel VBA. Imagine automating client replies, creating a smart summary, or generating ideas without leaving your spreadsheet. And if you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel for more Excel VBA automation tutorials. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.